are technically domestic short hairs, which really mostly just kind of means that we don't know what they are. It's what we call sort of cats who come in and they're a mix of different breeds, and we're not totally sure what, but there's some kind of domestic breed mixture.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then, why was this cat cafe started?
Oh, okay, so we're part of the Humane Society of Huron Valley, which is the local nonprofit humane society. And basically, it was sort of a pet project of the CEO, Tanya, and she just wanted a different space where we could house cats, and hopefully for cats who are well suited to this type of environment, it would just give them kind of a more like relaxed, open space for them to be. It also gives other people a different opportunity to come in. We could have different kinds of programs here, which gets people involved with the Humane Society, and just kind of gives just a different sort of more home-like environment for them to interact with and hopefully adopt cats. So.
Okay, this question kind of goes off of that. What is the advantage that cats have from being here at the cat cafe rather than being in a cage at a shelter?
Yeah, so it does kind of come down to it just being a more sort of natural home environment. Of course, it's never going to be exactly like living at home because there's often all kinds of other cats that they're, learning to live with, but it gives them more space. It gives them sort of more freedom and independence to move around, and then hopefully if they're kind of happy and relaxed and they have more opportunities to like play and exercise, they're going to be a little bit closer to their personality that they would have in a home. Yeah, but of course that requires that they, like to be around people and like to be around other cats, very importantly.
Say that you get the most visitors.
I'd say year-round, definitely weekends. If you come on like a Saturday afternoon, that's about as busy as we're gonna be. And then also breaks from school. So summer, all summer long. Summer's interesting because the weekdays get busier because kids are off school. And then also typically like winter break when families are around or, entertaining, visiting relatives. Although of course everything in the last year's been just really different for that anyway. So those would have been answers for back in 2019, but will probably be true again once we're back to normal.
How did COVID affect the cat?
Oh, there you go. COVID definitely changed our approach to things. I guess in a bigger sense, the cat cafe, a lot of our business, I guess, was people just coming to visit, and not only with COVID did a lot of people not, want to come out, but we also just couldn't safely have a lot of people in here, so we had to limit our capacity. And to do that, we started a reservation system, which we didn't have before. And also, kind of related to it, when COVID started, adoptions were really popular. That was kind of a national trend where shelters were doing a lot more adoptions.
Yeah,
so
because pets will give you more comfort.
Yeah, and it was, a good time for people to adopt because they were at home, and so they had time to say adopt a puppy and acclimate them to a home and kind of spend time with them. So we shut down for about 3 months, right when quarantine started back in March of 2020. When we came back, basically all the adult cats had been adopted, and we're still getting adopted, but kitten season was hitting us really hard, in a cute way. But there were just so many kittens, and so we decided that the best use of the space would be to have the kittens here. And we've never done all kittens before in the cafe, but it actually worked out really well. So we'd have, and they would get adopted really quickly, so we had fluctuating numbers all week, anywhere from like 10 to 20 kittens depending on the day. They did really well here in general. They seemed to really like the space to run around and really liked interacting with people. And because kittens tend to get adopted really quickly, what we didn't, basically what's a good way of putting this? Like the ratio of just visitors to interested adopters changed really dramatically. So whereas before we had a lot higher percentage of our just people coming through who were just here to play with the cats, during the summer people were just coming in to adopt, and so we did a lot of adoptions last year. I think, I wish I'd brought the exact numbers. I know that we did maybe about 600 and some adoptions last year from Tiny Lions, and the year before that we'd done 300 and some, I believe. So that really changed last year.
So like doubled?
Yeah, almost. And so that was a huge change for us, so we had to internally just change the way we approach things to accommodate so many more adoptions, but not as focused on like extra programming that people weren't really doing last year. That was kind of a long answer. Did it make sense? Yeah.
So you sell more kittens than cats?
That's an interesting question. I think overall at the shelter, so kittens are sort of confined into a certain period of time during the year. So what we call kitten season usually runs from spring through the fall. It's been getting longer every year, so last year we had kittens through December. And then for a few months there just really aren't any kittens, just because they're all kind of born starting in the spring through the summer. So yes, I'd say we do more kittens, but we also adopt adult cats all year round, and I think that, you know, pretty much all the animals who come through the shelter do get adopted eventually. So in some ways they're just like, for those months there are just more kittens coming through the shelter than adult cats. And they do tend to get adopted more quickly. I think people like to adopt the babies and kind of raise them through their whole lives. But yeah, the adult cats definitely, our shelter will keep them for as long as it takes to get them adopted, and sometimes if they have sort of more complicated backgrounds, it'll take a little longer, but they all do get adopted in the end. So yeah. But yes, definitely last year, at least at Tiny Lions, we did way more kitten adoptions than adults. But.
So what's an interesting fact about the Cat Cafe that many other people might not know?
So I guess, and I already kind of said this, but I think one thing that people don't always realize when they come here is that we are part of a bigger shelter. So a lot of cat cafes in the country are independent businesses who maybe partner with a shelter to bring cats in, whereas we're just basically a different department of the big shelter, which was really helpful when we got started, just to have that kind of support and infrastructure, which means that we're kind of constantly in communication with the shelter and collaborating with all their different departments. But yeah, so any time you come in here, all the entrance fees, any retail we sell, all the adoption fees, it just goes back into the main shelter. We're not really our own thing. Otherwise, I don't know. Was there anything else you were wondering about in terms of interesting stuff about the cafe?
So what are some good tips for the owners of some of these kittens?
Definitely depends on the cat and I guess their personality and also their age. So I know over the summer when we were doing kitten adoptions, one thing that we talked to everybody about was like energy level. So a lot of times with younger cats, issues that people run into is that they're, you know, running around a lot, getting into mischief in the night, pouncing at ankles or like play biting, and a lot of times kind of mischief that cats are getting into is just energy that they need an outlet for. So never underestimate the benefits of playing with your young cat.
Yeah.
That's a huge one that helps just with their sort of mental health, and also keeps your life a little bit easier too, just kind of in managing. I know with my cat at home, he's 4, so he's not even a kitten anymore, but if I don't remember to play with him every night, he in the middle of the night will start like wailing or knocking things over and stuff like that. So setting up a good routine with them is really important. Giving them spaces to climb, activities to do, windows to look out, and then just kind of following. They'll kind of tell you what they need to, so just, you know, pay attention to who your cat is and, you know, let them set the pace. So if they seek out attention, give it to them. If they seem like they're tired and they just want to take a nap, kind of let them do that and just get to know them. And that'll help a lot with just kind of maintaining a happy home. And then if you're introducing cats to each other, definitely take it slow. We don't always have the opportunity to do that here, but it helps a lot if you can kind of give them time to adjust as they go along. And usually if you know, take it slow and do the steps and do all of that, they'll usually end up living pretty well together, but that's always a big one.
Yeah, our cat will tear up the napkins and literally sit in the sink.
Yes, sinks are good. They're very cat-sized, and sometimes there's fun running water.
What would be a good way to support the Cat Cafe or the Humane Society?
Okay, so there's obviously a lot of our funding comes from donations, so that's always good, and that you can donate. I mean, obviously monetary donations, but sometimes people will bring in toys or food, or they'll make kind of their own homemade toys and food, just to give the cats something different to do. We have, when we're up and running normally, we do have events through the shelter, and you know, by even just going to events, you're helping, you know, support programs that we do. And also we do have a volunteer program for kids as well as adults. I know the kids one is really popular, so sometimes can be a little bit tricky to get into, but if you are 12 and older and you keep an eye on when the registration date drops, you can definitely get involved at the shelter, helping out with different things we do.
And we just turned 12.
Very dependent on our volunteers, so yes, we would love to have you.